Malaysia did something that the world could really learn from.
So I can start off with how I was pretty much Islamophobic, anti-Islam. Yeah, I was, to be honest, I was, yes. I was originally anti-Islam. I didn't like Muslims. I wasn't exposed to many Muslims at all. And after the events of like 9/11 and the bombings in London, I was, naturally scared of Muslims and didn't really like Muslims at all. And obviously I was against sort of the whole ideology of Islam. I knew that all Muslims were like this. Going to Malaysia, Islam was great. Through the akhlaq of the Muslims here, everyone was very welcoming. Basically, everyone was the opposite of what I was told by the media in England. After about 3 or 4 years of studying Islam, I decided to enter Islam.
I've lived in Muslim majority nations for, on and off for the last 3 years, Being in Malaysia for such a long time, I'm used to how welcoming and how accepting and how peaceful the people of the Islamic faith are.
But when Malaysians, they have like the biggest heart. Everyone is, if you need help, they're there for you, like everyone just wants you to enjoy Malaysia. Everyone's really smiley, friendly, welcoming. I've never experienced this before in any other country.
Terbaik, Malaysia ni menguruskan orang Islam menjadi pohon yang kuat, boleh berteduhnya orang asing. Inilah Islam. Ini konteks Islam, bukan Islam yang macam repang, pum-pam, letup, potong kepala. No. Islam ni makmur.
Halo teman-teman semua, saya Ria Oktorina. Hari ini aku pengen ngobrol santai aja soal satu fenomena menarik yang makin sering kita lihat belakangan ini, yaitu banyaknya orang luar negeri yang masuk Islam, padahal awalnya banyak dari mereka menjadi Islamofobia dan menganggap Islam itu penuh dengan kekerasan dan ancaman. Tapi yang paling bikin aku kagum, ternyata salah satu alasan mereka bisa jatuh cinta sama Islam itu karena mereka pernah tinggal di Malaysia. Dan buat aku pribadi, ini luar biasa banget.
So I can start off with how I was pretty much Islamophobic, anti-Islam. Yeah, I was, to be honest, I was. Yes. Journey to Islam started when I actually came to Malaysia. I was originally anti-Islam. I didn't like Muslims. I wasn't exposed to many Muslims at all. And after the events of like 9/11 and the bombings in London, I was, naturally scared of Muslims and didn't really like Muslims at all. And obviously I was against sort of the whole ideology of Islam. And then I was given a chance to come to Malaysia to study here in Malaysia for 1 year, and I was instantly exposed to the beauty of Islam through the akhlaq of the Muslims here. Everyone was very welcoming. Basically, everyone was the opposite of what I was told by the media in England. And I naturally became curious and I wanted to know more. So when I was in Malaysia, I asked everyone, more questions about Islam. Why do women do this, or why do you do? They gave me the answers, and the answers of what I wanted to know in a very simple way, so I could understand it, or any non-Muslim could understand it, without the complications, making it confusing for a non-Muslim to understand. Why do you do all the washing up your arms when you pray? Why do you bow down when you pray? Allow me. All these questions, many of my friends replied nicely. And then I went back to England with a different mindset of Islam. I took it upon myself to go to the Islamic society in England, like the clubs. I basically joined in with all the Muslim week. I think every Tuesday we went to a club and just hang out and chilled and talked about Muslim matters in England. The reason why I did that was so I knew that all Muslims were like this. Going to Malaysia, Islam was great. Going to England, I wanted to make sure it was the same thing. It wasn't this sort of this thing where everyone was like, oh, so nice to be in Malaysia, but in England or wherever else, Muslims were different. And then finally I came back to Malaysia to teach at UTM in Johor, and then decided to, this is the right thing, and that's how I became a Muslim. And after about 3 or 4 years of studying Islam, I decided to enter Islam.
He converted to Islam.
You are a Muslim?
Yeah, Muslim, and he converted to Islam. Good. Then we got married after that.
Islam is a good way of life. Okay?
Yes.
Everybody should.
My grandma can't speak English at all.
In English.
You were in an English school. Wow, that's good. When you were a teacher, what subject did you teach?
All subjects.
Oh, you were like a homeroom teacher.
Yes.
Do you still teach or not anymore?
Boleh iti wanda semua untuk pensioner.
Saya masuk Islam sebab saya nak. Saya pindah di Malaysia sebab saya nak. Saya belajar bahasa Melayu sebab saya nak. Kalau saya pakai tudung keluar, orang lain memang tak perasan saya orang Jepun. Tak tahulah itu bagus atau tak. Satu-satunya perkara yang boleh saya katakan ialah saya sangat suka makanan Malaysia.
Recognize this face? Maybe while scrolling through your feed? Yes, it's Alana Dunsmore, a Scottish influencer who has accepted Malaysia and Islam with open arms. With over 100,000 followers on Instagram and YouTube, this Westerner's travel adventures, love for local cuisine, and mastery of the Malay language have kept her audience hooked. Just weeks before her first Ramadan as a Muslim, Dunsmore, alongside her newlywed husband, local actor Abbas Mahmood, spoke with FMT Lifestyle about her unique story. It all began in 2019 when she came to Malaysia for her university exchange year away from Scotland.
And I literally just closed my eyes, went down the list, picked Malaysia, and I was like, all right, well, destiny has picked, and now I would say God has picked.
Fast forward to this year, the 24-year-old admits that it was the country's irresistible charm that drew her to stay long after her degree was done.
It's the people. It's the people first and foremost, because if you go to a country and the people are not like Malaysians, for example, you just feel so. But when Malaysians, they have the biggest heart. You know, everyone is, if you need help, they're there for you, everyone just wants you to enjoy Malaysia. Everyone's really smiley, friendly, welcoming. I've never experienced this before in any other country.
Contrary to popular belief, Dunsmore's decision to become a Muslim in December 2023 had little to do with her marriage to Abbas in January of this year.
As a Muslim, we need to marry also a Muslim. But a lot of people say Alana just convert because of want to getting married. Actually, no. Actually, Alana know about Islam 4 years before she met me.
Dunsmore confirmed this, saying her decision to convert to Islam had been years in the making. It also didn't come as a surprise to those closest to her.
Even my subscribers weren't oh my gosh, they knew, they could feel hints of hey, maybe one day Alana would take her Shahada, because I'm very curious. I've already, experienced 2 Ramadans before, even before I was Muslim. I spent time, during that time fasting and reading Quran and trying to explore Islam. So, the night before you take your Shahada is a bit oh gosh, there really is no going back. But you don't want to go back. That's the thing. When you've accepted Islam in your heart, you really feel oh no, but this is my way forward. I find beauty in this religion and I really love it.
As she embarks on a classic Balik Kampung trip to Abbas's hometown in Kelantan this Hari Raya, Dunsmore's story serves as a beautiful reminder. Often, the most unexpected paths lead to life-changing discoveries.
Malaysia did something that the world could really learn from. In recent news, some really horrible news from Sweden about some right-wing extremist who basically was burning holy scriptures and attacking the Muslim religion and the Islamic faith. I've lived in Muslim majority nations for, on and off for the last 3 years, being in Malaysia for such a long time. I'm used to how welcoming and how accepting and how peaceful the people of the Islamic faith are. I always say that you'll never have any trouble, you'll never have any scams, and you'll never have any rip-offs with people in that community. But you know how Malaysia reacted? Well, Malaysia did something that the world could really learn from. Recently, Anwar responded and said, you know what we're going to do? If this guy burns one of our Qurans, what we're going to do is we're going to print 1 million more and share them out. That response is a very, very peaceful response. And he said, we are a peaceful religion. The world could really take something out of that. They didn't react violently. They didn't react angrily. I mean, this extremist, he clearly wanted a response from the Islamic community. And you know what? They didn't give him the response that he wanted. I think he wanted to drive tensions, divisions, and something like Malaysia knows all too well with diversity. They understand diversity, other communities, whereas this guy clearly doesn't. He's probably never ever even heard of Malaysia, otherwise he'd understand how accepting and how peaceful and coexisting people are here. I mean, this, for example, is a Muslim majority nation, and let me tell you, there are many communities that live under this country. You don't eat beef? No problem. You know, you don't eat pork? No problem. You want a drink? That's okay. You know, people are so accepting of other people's cultures here. It's just a way of life. So it really doesn't surprise me that, you know, Malaysia reacted like that. And you know what? It was a really, really good response, and a great response from Anwar, the Prime Minister here in Malaysia. The thing is in England we have a real trouble with integration, with diversity, and, you know, understanding different cultures. Malaysia clearly does, because Malaysia says, you know, look, we're not going to react violently, because, you know what, that's just going to drive the tensions, that's going to drive the divisions. We're going to print 1 million copies and hand them out peacefully. Best response you can give. And you know what?
How do you practice Islam in space? Well, in 2007, the Malaysian astronaut Sheikh Muzaffar Shakur was preparing for a Russian mission to the International Space Station, and as a devout Muslim, he prayed 5 times a day in the direction of the Kaaba, located in Mecca, Saudi Arabia. But once you leave Earth's orbit, days last only 90 minutes, and when you're on the ISS, Mecca changes location in relation to you, moving at 17,400 miles per hour. So a group of 150 experts in Islamic law and practice of the National Fatwa Council of Malaysia helped determine how he could adapt his prayer practices to life in space. He could project the Kaaba's location into space mathematically, move his head instead of lying down, which is a bit difficult in zero gravity, and use his point of departure to calculate the time of day. In the end, Shakur was able to maintain his ritual obligations just a little differently.
Seorang wanita Tionghoa asal Malaysia yang bernama Naira membagikan video saat pertama kali ia mengucapkan kalimat syahadat pada bulan Januari lalu. Dalam video tersebut, Naira mengungkapkan bahwa Islam telah membawanya pada kebahagiaan yang luar biasa. Dia berkata bahwa setelah memeluk Islam, hubungannya dengan keluarganya terutama orang tuanya semakin dekat. Ia merasa Islam memberikan panduan untuk mencintai dan menghormati orang tua. Naira merasa sangat bersyukur telah memeluk Islam, terutama karena ajaran agama ini mendorong pemeluknya untuk terus belajar. Menurutnya Islam bukan hanya tentang keyakinan, tetapi juga tentang pembelajaran, karena agama Islam banyak mengandung pengetahuan dan ajaran yang perlu dipelajari. Lebih lanjut, Naira juga mengungkapkan bahwa semakin banyak ia belajar, semakin dekat ia dengan Allah. Tak hanya membaca Al-Quran saja, Naira juga mengamalkan hadis-hadis dan sunnah Nabi Muhammad yang membawanya lebih dekat dengan penciptanya dan membuat ia merasakan kedekatan spiritual yang semakin menguat.
You know what the best thing is? My husband is currently away, and no, I'm not talking about what you're thinking. I'm not happy that he's gone. Obviously, I miss him, but I would say this is the first time in my life where I genuinely feel so much peace when I'm on my own and I'm thinking about Allah and myself, and how to improve myself, how to improve my relationship with Allah, and I've just never feel so at peace. Also, I'm always quite an anxious person due to kind of a lot of past experiences and just how I am as a person. Like, I want to control every single outcome, and I always get really anxious and all these assumptions in my head of things that would happen. So actually I thought that this time with my husband being gone, I might be a bit anxious actually, especially when we're like this. Since we got married, we literally haven't left each other's side. You know, he's going to be away for a few days, and I thought I'd be anxious, but actually no. I mean, I only miss him, but I just feel good, and I'm excited to also have this time to myself. Like, that actually is the thing that ties this night together. This is why this night is so perfect, because it's a new chapter of my life. I feel like I finally reached a level where I'm over that need of having to control every aspect of my life and being anxious about everything, because truly having tawakkul in Allah means that you shouldn't worry about anything actually, because Allah has already decreed for you, and whatever's for you, it should be written for you already. And actually your job is to make yourself better, especially your relationship with Allah. You should worship Him a bit better so He rewards you for what you deserve. Alright, so that's what you can do. Like, it's a need for control that makes us anxious, that makes us stressed, right? Like, so really letting go of that is so important. And tonight I'm feeling it at its max. Tomorrow I have a beautiful day planned. I have Pilates again in the morning, brunch with the girls, so on, and I have so many things I want to do. Honestly, I need to remind myself of this every day, because this is when I feel the most peaceful, and I just feel like everything in life is going to work out. It's very important to tell yourself this, and I hope this reaches some of you guys and remind you that you shouldn't worry, just trust in Allah, ask Him for anything that you do, every small thing, whatever you're doing, think of Him and ask Him for what you want. You feel so connected with Him and your stress will slowly ease away. I literally can't be more grateful right now. I feel so happy, I feel at peace. You know, when you feel free, that's how I feel.
Xi Xinghua, pria berusia 89 tahun asal Nanjing, Tiongkok, memeluk Islam di bulan Ramadan, menemukan kedamaian dan makna hidup di usianya yang senja. Kisahnya menjadi perhatian banyak orang di Malaysia setelah dibagikan oleh putranya, Ahmad Shirongshuan, di TikTok. Xinghua mengungkapkan bahwa keinginannya untuk menjadi Muslim semakin kuat setelah tiba di Malaysia. Dengan bimbingan Imam Mapeng, ia mengucapkan syahadat di sebuah masjid, menandai langkah resminya memeluk Islam. Meski belum mulai berpuasa, ia berniat belajar dan melaksanakannya secara bertahap. Ahmad yang telah menjadi Muslim sejak tahun 2000 sepenuhnya mendukung keputusan ayahnya. Ia menceritakan bahwa sang ayah telah mempelajari cara salat di Nanjing selama bertahun-tahun sebelum menyampaikan keinginannya untuk memeluk Islam. Kisah Xinghua menyoroti semakin banyaknya mualaf Tionghoa di Malaysia. Terinspirasi oleh tokoh seperti Firdaus Wong dan Ridwan T. Perjalanannya menunjukkan kekuatan transformasi melalui iman dan pencarian makna hidup yang universal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Ma Jing. I'm from China. Recently, I live in Malaysia. Actually, this is the first time I make my own video. Although I have a lot of followers in my account, but most of my fans, they don't know who I am. So today, I want to say thanks for all of your support. Inshallah, I will try to make more video to introduce to you about Chinese Muslim food, weddings, culture, especially for tourist places. If anyone want to come to China, you can contact with me. So thanks for all of your following. I hope see you next time. Bye.
Aku Cina tapi aku tak tahu kenapa orang selalu ingat aku orang kaya. Number one, kita orang tak ada kedai mi tarik. Dah lah tu. Kita orang tak ada masak mi tarik. Kita orang tak ada kedai mi tarik walaupun mak aku dari Lanjong. Number two, mak bapak dua-dua bukan orang bisnes. Dua-dua hanyalah bekerja sahaja. Number two, kau tengoklah. Buku ada 4 rak. Buku daripada darjah 1, dari sampai sekolah menengah sampai universiti. Lepas tu mak bapak yang mengajar semua masih ada lagi. Number 3, parents kita orang tak hantar pergi tuition, so kita orang kena belajar sendiri. Ni, Syair. Nombor 4, selagi boleh pakai, boleh pakai. Ini baru saya tak hari tu sebab call customer service. Nombor 5, ni lah rumah landed kita orang. Kau tengok, ini dah berapa tahun dah pakai. Ini dah 30 tahun dah ni. Ni pun dah 30 tahun. Dah berkarat dah. Kau tengok, inilah taman kita orang. Nombor 6, parents I sebenarnya hoarder. Bapak I dia hoarder teh yang cantik. Mak I dia hoarder semua benda. Ni adalah collection hoarder di rumah ini. Apa benda? Dah boleh buang dah. Dapur korang cantik-cantik kan? Tengok dah begitu. Kabinet semua kena cabut. Kabinet ni dah lama. Nampak je baru dari luar. Nampak? Itu ikutkan boleh buang. Ni pun boleh buang. Basikal tu pun boleh jual. Kabinet ni pun patutnya buang. Kau tengoklah. Asal boleh. Kabinet ni pun sama. Ni semua collection teh. Ada apa ni? Mo li hua cha. Ni ada Milo. Ni soya bean. Lepas tu ni plastik yang tak nak dibuang. Ni patutnya tandas. Tapi jadi store. Ni tandas luar. Tiba-tiba tersesat yang Syair ni. Lepas tu kau tengok, ni dah jadi storeroom dah. Tandas boleh guna jamban je. Nak mandi tak boleh mandi kat sana. And the only gambar keluarga yang kita orang ada 2 sahaja. Ni pun sebab childhood trauma. Ni yang pertama. Ni yang kedua. Kita tak ada gambar lain. Dari kecil sampai sekarang tak ada. Ini kita orang sendiri yang paksa mak bapak kita angkat.
Saya nak tanya saudara lah. Tunjukkan saya dalam dunia mana ada negara Islam. Bukan. Saya bukan negara Islam. Negara itu didiami oleh orang Islam. Bukan negara Islam. Didiami, ramainya 90% dia orang Islam. Di mana orang Islam? Di Pakistan? Apakah model itu yang kita ada di Islam di Malaysia? Apakah model Iran? Di mana tak ada. Tidak ada. Islam yang moderate yang disebut oleh Syekh Al-Yusuf Al-Qardawi, pemikiran Muhammad Nasir, pemikiran Bung Hatta, pemikiran Bung Hamka adalah Islam moderate macam dengan negara kita ini. Terbaik Malaysia ini menguruskan orang Islam menjadi pohon yang kuat, boleh berteduhnya orang asing. Inilah Islam. Ini konteks Islam, bukan Islam yang macam negara pam pum pam meletup potong kepala. No. Islam ni makmur. Islam ni kalau sebut Islam, apa guna kita nak letak Islam sedangkan negara kita huru-hara? Di Malaysia kita tak sebut Islam, tapi kita sebut kemakmuran. Itulah manisnya orang Melayu Islam di Malaysia umpamanya. Orang Cina boleh kaya, orang India boleh hebat, semua bangsa boleh hebat. Siapa pemimpin dia? Orang Melayu dan Islam. Dan dalam perlembagaan menyebut agama negara ialah agama Islam. Negara Islam ni. Tetapi negara Islam kita ialah negara Islam moderate yang boleh didiami oleh semua manusia dengan aman dan makmur.
Jujur aja, banyak orang luar negeri awalnya punya pandangan negatif soal Islam. Apalagi di negara-negara barat, Islam sering banget dikaitkan sama kekerasan, konflik, bahkan terorisme. Akibatnya, mereka jadi takut, jadi curiga, dan akhirnya timbul rasa Islamofobia. Mereka pikir semua umat Islam itu keras dan menakutkan. Tapi semua persepsi itu mulai runtuh ketika mereka datang ke Malaysia. Di sini, mereka melihat sendiri gimana Islam itu sebenarnya. Islam yang ditampilkan di Malaysia bukan seperti yang ada di berita-berita barat. Islam di Malaysia itu lembut, damai, dan hidup berdampingan dengan budaya serta masyarakat yang beragam. Banyak dari mereka yang awalnya benci Islam malah jadi tertarik. Kok bisa? Karena mereka merasakan langsung keramahan orang-orang Muslim di Malaysia. Mereka diajak ngobrol baik-baik, dijawab pertanyaannya dengan sabar, dan dilayani dengan senyuman. Gak ada paksaan, gak ada debat, cuman akhlak yang menyentuh hati. Gak heran kalau Malaysia sekarang diakui sebagai salah satu negara Islam terbaik di dunia. Bukan karena retorika, tapi karena praktiknya. Bahkan, bukan cuma orang luar negeri aja yang masuk Islam. Sekarang, makin banyak juga warga Tionghoa di Malaysia yang mulai tertarik sama Islam dan memutuskan jadi mu'alaf. Semua karena mereka melihat sendiri keindahan Islam yang sesungguhnya, yang mungkin nggak mereka dapat di tempat lain. Dari sini kita bisa belajar banyak ya teman-teman, bahwa kekuatan dakwah itu bukan cuma lewat kata-kata, tapi lewat sikap, lewat akhlak, lewat bagaimana kita memperlakukan orang lain. Kadang cukup dengan jadi orang yang baik dan tulus, itu udah bisa jadi pintu hidayah buat orang lain. Buat kita semua yang sudah memeluk Islam sejak lahir, yuk kita rawat dan tunjukkan Islam dengan cara yang damai, ramah, dan santun. Karena siapa tahu, tanpa kita sadari, kebaikan kecil yang kita lakukan hari ini bisa jadi alasan seseorang mengenal dan mencintai Islam. Saya Ria Oktorina, sampai jumpa di cerita selanjutnya.
Baby, you give